We've got this lady quoted in the article as well. Shirley Kramer, Chief Executive of the Royal Society for Public Health. She demanded urgent action by Facebook, saying its own research due later this year showed parents were more likely to see negative and often inaccurate messages about vaccinations on social media than positive ones. So my goodness, they are going for it. Could this be that all of the information coming to the surface about vaccines is beginning to hit home, Mike? I suspect it is. So let's have a look at this Royal Society for Public Health. Good idea to have a look at the board and trustees. Haven't got time in the news today to go through the lot, but the president here is Lord Hunt of King's Heath. Lord Hunt of King's Heath was Minister of State at the Department of Energy and Climate Change until the recent change of government. He was also Deputy Leader of the House of Lords. So the government fully embedded in this organisation. This is not independent in any way. What are they up to? Well, this is what they say. RSPH is the longest established public health organisation in the UK. It is incorporated by a royal charter and its patrons Her Majesty the Queen. Through its policy work, membership, community, qualifications, training and accreditation services, it educates, empowers and supports communities and individuals to live healthily. So we couldn't do that without that organisation. Don't worry, embedded with the government. Trust us is what they're saying. So here's Shirley Kramer. What does she have to say about herself? Well, she's an experienced voluntary sector leader in both the UK and the USA and has held non-executive positions in both countries in the public and voluntary sectors. Pretty busy woman. Yeah. I don't know how she manages this. She was Chief Executive of Dyslexia Action, the UK's leading independent provider of services. She was Interim Chief Executive of Alzheimer's Research UK, working on Dementia Challenge. She's Chair of think tank British Future. So this lady is quasi-politically involved, to my mind. I don't think she's independent at all. She chairs the People in UK Public Health Advisory Group, providing independent expert advice to 4 UK countries on an overarching strategy for a multidisciplinary public health workforce. And she's got a degree in social work. So no expertise there, qualifications with regard to vaccines, but my goodness, she's got an opinion. And it's interesting that appears to tie in with the government's opinion. So this is one of their projects. This caught my eye. RSPH and the Young Health Movement are calling for action from government, social media companies and policymakers to help promote the positive aspects of social media for young people. These recommendations include introduction of a pop-up heavy usage warning on social media, including the support from young people for each of these recommendations. And the second one I thought was utterly brilliant: social media platforms to identify users who could be suffering from mental health problems by their posts and discreetly signpost.
Wow! So we're going to troll through Twitter data and attempt to use some kind of algorithm to decide whether somebody's mentally ill or not, and if they are, we'll pass that along to the multi-agency response teams who may well pick them up off the street and stick a needle in their body.
Well, this is where it's heading, Mike, without any question. But some sort of AI system is going to be reading your posts, make a decision that you're not well. The first thing it's going to do is send you a discreet little message, maybe, to suggest that the computer thinks you're mentally ill. That's going to have quite an effect on some people. But as you say, where does the information go? So let's focus on the tremendous journalism carried out by the man who wrote the article, Charles Hymas, journalist, ex-Sunday Times head of news education, ex-director UCL media relations, author of a guide to the national curriculum. So this man's very, very keen on education. What's he got to say in the article? Well, when it gets near to what other people think about vaccines, there's no proper argument put forward at all. This is one. The site also makes unfounded claim that the HPV vaccine is destroying the lives of little girls and now boys after the government's recent announcement that the vaccine will be given to boys. He goes on, truth about vaccines carries an alarmist report about a mother whose baby was injected with MMR vaccine and died a minute later. There is no evidence the vaccine was to blame, but instead poor handling and refrigeration of it by medical staff is suspected and is under police investigation. You notice the callous statement there. It was an alarmist report. The baby died. It's just a bit of alarm. It was only really a refrigeration problem, Mike. But no proper investigative journalism. What I'm delighted to say is when you had a look on his Twitter page, members of the public were already in there picking this man up. So we've got a lady, Susan Elizabeth. What did she have to say? What every lazy-ass mainstream journalist tells us the Lancet study said versus what is actually said. So she's picking up on the report about Dr. Wakefield. And underneath, I would suggest that Telegraph is putting lives at risk by reporting propaganda which can lead to more families suffering brain injury from vaccines. Hundreds of thousands of families now. So the public getting in there and picking these people up, but I think we come back, Mike, to why they desperately need to try and close down social media, because it's getting too accurate, too well informed.